Hello and welcome to Python for data analysis, and today we'll be taking a real world data and performing analysis on it like it is done in the industry. So the data we'll be exploring today is hotel booking data, and it has monthly cancellation and bookings, it has guest demographics and also repeated guest statistics. But before we dive into the analysis, we need to talk briefly about data lifecycle, which guides every data analysis project. But before we do that, you know what to do. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and put your question in the comment section.
9 to 5 data.
So what is data lifecycle? Data lifecycle is a systemic approach to working with data. So it starts from data collection and it ends with insight generation and action from the data. Each steps build upon the previous one, and this structured approach ensures that analysis is accurate, meaningful, and actionable. So let's get a quick overview of each of the stage. And the first stage of the data lifecycle is data collection. So the first stage is data collection. And what this is all about is about gathering raw data, and in our case we already have the hotel booking data, and it is in a form of Excel. It is an Excel file which we would have to import into Python and do some analysis on it. So after we have gathered the raw data, the next stage is data cleaning. And data cleaning is addressing missing values, removing errors, and also preparing the data. So sometimes in your data you have to look at the missing values in data, and you can then do what we call data imputation to see what you can do to undo the missing value. And also sometimes your data might contain errors, and the errors might affect your analysis, so it is important to remove errors in your data. And also for you to have a smooth data analysis and exploration, you have to ensure that you prepare your data for it. So the next step after this is data exploration. And this is about understanding the data, checking for trends, and doing summarizing. And this from here now will lead us to what we call data analysis. And the data analysis is using statistical techniques to get insight from data and also use visualizations to identify patterns in the data. And after this, we move to the next stage, which is insight generation. And this is all about drawing conclusion based on the analysis. So once you have done your analysis, you have to get some conclusion on what the data is telling you. And from there, all this in conclusion is what the stakeholders will work on. We have the people we call the stakeholders. They are also known as decision makers. And after this insight generation, the next thing you do is action and communication. And here is where you share the insight you generated with the decision makers or the stakeholders, or sometimes the viewers. So most of the time it has to be the decision makers, and these decision makers will actually come in the initial stage to you and give you some project briefs. And the project brief will be like, what would they like to see, or what would they like you to analyze for them based on the data you have gathered or the data they have provided. And most of the time the data is usually stored in what we call data warehouse, and how the data got into the data warehouse is the work of people who call data engineer. So from the data warehouse, that is where the data analysts will come and collect the data, and also do some data cleaning, and after that do some data exploration. And after doing data exploration, then you go on to do data analysis. Sometimes the two-stage data exploration and data analysis are sometimes merged together, and they are called exploratory data analysis. And from there you get insight, and the insight is what you communicate to the stakeholders. So these are the 6 stages of the data life cycle. So from here, let's move on to our analysis. In the analysis now, we said the project brief will be given to us by the stakeholders, or sometimes the decision makers. So the decision makers will come and they'll give you brief. And for this our course, for this particular course, the brief we have been given is that they want to know what is the booking and cancellation the hotel gets in a monthly basis. And the second one is they want to see the repeated guest statistics. The third one is that they would like to know if they get singular travelers or family bookings. And the last one here is actually they want to see the breakdown of countries where their travelers are from. So these are the 4 things we'll try to analyze using the data we already have. Before we start analysis, there's something also important we need to always try to get before we start analysis, which is something we call data dictionary. So data dictionary is just a dictionary or a meaning of every feed or every column we have in our data. So for example, we have the data dictionary for this data, which is hotel booking analysis. And the first thing is we have the booking ID, which is ID for each booking. We have the hotel. So the hotel is trying to tell us the hotel type. So for this hotel data, we have 2 type of hotel. We have the resort hotel and we have the city hotel. And also is cancelled is telling us if the booking was cancelled or not. So we have one for yes, that is cancelled, and we have no for not cancelled. We also have lead time, which is the difference in days from the booking date to the arrival date. We have arrival date week num, and we have the booking date, the date they made the booking, the arrival date, the date they arrived, the arrival day of month, which is the day of the month they arrived. We have stay in weekend night. So this one is telling us if the number of weekend nights they stayed, and weekend is Saturday and Sunday. So we have stay in weeknight, which is also almost the same thing at the top, but this one is week, and it's also the night they stayed, which is from Monday to Friday. We have adults. So this is the number of adults booking the hotel. We have children, trying to tell us the number of children in the booking. We have babies, number of babies in the booking. We have the meal, so the type of meal each guest requests for, the country the guests are from, the market segment. So sometimes if it is coming from a booking agent and stuff like that, and also different part of different marketing segment they have. Is it repeated guests? So are the guests new guests, or they are old customers that have already booked the hotel previously? So previous cancellation is trying to tell us if the booking has been previously cancelled, or if the person booking the hotel has booked I've had some bookings cancelled in the previous. Also assign room type, so they have category of room. So this is based on the room each person is assigned. We have booking changes, so this is the number of changes they have made to their bookings. We have deposit types, so people that have made deposits, and is the deposit refundable, non-refundable, or people that did not make any deposit. So we have agents, if they actually booked the hotel through travel agents and other kind of agents. So we have the company. So this one is trying to let us know the name of the company the booking is coming from. We have customer type, so the type of customers they are. So we have requesting car park spacing. So sometimes if the customers or the people booking the hotel would like to have request for car parking space, and also the total special requests. Sometimes you want to calculate how many requests they have made in their booking. So that's the data dictionary. So which will help us understand in which direction to make the analysis flow. Do you understand now? So we have to understand all this data dictionary. So let's get started with the analysis. So to start the analysis, the first thing we need to do is to get some libraries that we'll be using in the analysis. So let's say needed libraries. And the first one is import. Let's say we need pandas, so import pandas as PD. We need numpy, import numpy as MP. Import matplotlib for visualization, matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Cborn, import cborn as SNS. Import date time, so to do some date manipulation as dt. So let's run this. So after that, the next thing we need to do is to import our data, the data we'll be using. And to do that, if you check the description, I'll put a link for you to get the data, and also a link to this to this notebook so that you can follow along. So let's do data import. So to import our data, since our data is in Excel, we'll say pd.read_Excel, and then we'll provide a link or the path. So let me provide the path. The path will actually be backward slash. So it is important you change it to forward slash so that you can get the same, you can be able to read it. So that is the format you need to put it in. And if we are reading Excel, it will actually default to the first sheet. So we don't need to specify the number of sheets or the index of the sheet. So if you want to do that, you can do Ctrl+Shift+Tab, and it will tell you what you need to do again after this. So if you have specified the path, then you can specify the sheet name, which you can give the name of the sheet or the index number. So for now, it will default to the first sheet. So that is why I am not specifying any index or any name. So let me save this into a variable and say hotel bookings. And after that, we would like to see the first 5 rows. So we'll do hotel bookings dot add. So using this method will show us the 5 rows of our data, and let's run this. So then we can see that we have the 5 row of the data. We have the booking ID, hotel, is cancelled, the lead time, the booking date, all the columns or the fields we have explained earlier. Now we have them. You can see the deposit type, so the customer type, if it is no contract, single, stuff like that, and do they require parking space and stuff like that. So that is our first 5 row. So once we have import our data, the next step that we need to go into is data pre-processing, or we call it data processing, anyone. So let's say data processing. And the first thing in data processing is that we need to first understand the shape of our data. To do the shape of our data, the purpose of trying to understand the shape of our data is to know how many rows and columns do we have in the data. So let's do data shape. So we just use the attribute shape. So our hotel bookings dot the shape attribute, and so this is showing us that we have 390 rows and 26 columns. So this has shown us the number of rows and columns we have in the data. But another thing we need to understand is that if we do a further check into this data, we will discover that it is data for two types of hotel. So the company that owns the data, they run two types of hotel. They run the resort hotel and the city hotel. So let's see the hotel column and see how many unique values do we have there. So after we get the unique values, then we can separate this data to the ones for city hotel and the other one for resort hotel. So let's do, so separate the bookings into the different hotel. So first, let's check the type of hotels you have. And we have hotel bookings, and we want to access hotel, the hotel column, and after that we want to check the unique values in there. So we use the unique method, unique, and this should return the unique hotel that we have, and we have the resort hotel and the city hotel. So the next thing now is that we would like to separate these two hotels. So let's separate, the first thing is separate to resort hotel. Resort hotel. So we'll say resort. Let's turn it into resort. So we want to get we want to filter the hotel to ones that have resort hotel. So we'll say hotel bookings. Let's access the hotel bookings. Hotels. So the ones that are equal to resort hotel, so we'll do equals resort hotel, and once we have this, then we'll filter the whole data set. So let's filter the whole data set and call it resort hotel equals the whole data set is hotel bookings. Then we want to filter it to resort, so resort, and once we have that, let's copy this to resort again, resort hotel equals resort.copy, resort hotel.copy, so after that we can check the rows again. So let's see the first 5 rows of this resort hotel. So we'll say resort hotel dot head. So we have these first 5 rows, and the other thing we can do after we have this is to check the unique shape, to check the unique value. So let's see if we only have hotel that contain resort in here. So we'll do resort hotel dot unique and see, let's see. So the mistake here is that we need to pass in the hotel column. And now we can see we only have resort hotel in this. So, and let's see the shape to see how many of the bookings are for resort hotel. So we'll say resort hotel dot shape. So we can see that we have 40,060 bookings that are for resort hotel. So let's try and see and then separate the city hotel also. So we have the resort hotel now, so let's filter out the city hotel. So to filter out the city hotel, so we write almost the same code. So city hotel, so we do hotel bookings, and this time around we do the negation of the resort filter. We know the initial filter was for resort, so if we do the negation of resort filter, so definitely we are going to get city hotel. So let's do resort, the negation, and do resort, and after that we'll do city hotel. We'll copy it also, city hotel equals city hotel dot copy city hotel dot copy, and after that let's see the first 5 rows, city hotel underscore hotel dot add sorry, this should be hotel bookings and underscore hotel. So we also have our city hotel, and then let's check the shape to see how many rows and columns. So the column will still be constant, but the rows will definitely be different. So city hotel dot shape, so we have 79,330 rows, so that is for the city hotel. So another thing we can do is that we can check the info of our data. So the main reason why we are checking the information of our data is to see the data types we have, and also to check if any of the columns have missing values. And from there we can then do, maybe we have a particular column in the wrong data type, then we can then try to correct it or pass it to the right data type. And if we have missing values, then we can also work on trying to, if we can do data imputation on the missing value, or definitely we can treat it and find a different way to work around the missing value. So there are different methods for data imputation to take care of missing value. So let's check our data information. So check data info. So the first one we want to check is resort hotel, and we use the info method on it. So dot info, and let's see what we have. So in this now we can see that the booking ID and hotel, so they all have the same number of rows, and also from here we can see the data type. So object is the same as string in Python. So when we have object data type, so it means we have string data type, and we have int 64, so that's integer. We have date time, we have float, and also another thing is that if we check the bottom here, we can see the aggregation of each of the data types. So we can see that we have 2 columns that are of date time, and we have floats. We have 3 columns that are of floats, and we have 14 columns that are integers, and we have 7 columns that are string. So also another important thing we need to look at is the country column. It has way less number of values. So sometimes we can discard it, and sometimes we can find a way to do data imputation on it. So most of the time it's very good to discard this value because it is very low compared to the other values we have. So that's a very low number. We have 174 compared to 40,000 values, so that is a very low number. But because the project brief asks us to find the countries where the customers are coming from, we can still keep it and do some analysis on it, and then maybe in the insight generation we can then give the insight into that it's a very low number which might be underreporting. And also there are some other values like companies and agents that are also very small values. So especially also company is very small, which we can also treat it the way we have treated country. But because we don't have any analysis asking us to talk about companies, so we can still leave companies and agents. So that is for resort hotel. So let's check the info for city hotel. City hotel.info. So for city hotel, we can also, it's also the same information we have above. So the only difference here is that the country does not have any value. So we can say maybe for city hotel, because it is hotel for that's in the city, we can say it's only people from our countries that are going there. So this data is for an hotel in the United States of America. So we can say it's only people in the country that are going there. So we don't need to record the country where they are coming from. So for resort hotel is more of like a place for leisure, and people coming from different parts of the world to the hotel. So it's a good idea to record the country where they're coming from, but now it's been underreported. So but for city hotel, I don't think it is necessary. So that is why we are having 0 for that particular column. So in our analysis, we just skip it for city hotel, and we perform the customer demographics where the country they are coming from. We'll perform that for the resort hotel. And also we'll take a look at the company and agent. We can see there's also a decrease in values for them, just the way we have it in the resort hotel. So this has given us some insight into our data and what we should expect with the data. So we understand where we have missing values, and also what we are going to do with them. And also we have seen the data type of each of the column, and I don't think we need to change any column to any data type. So the data type we have for the columns are appropriate for them, so we just leave the data type the way it is. So we don't need to make any changes to that. So after this, we'll go to what we call descriptive analysis. So descriptive analysis is just to see some statistical analysis of our data to see what is the mean, the median, the mode, the 50th percentile, the 75th percentile, and the likes like that. And this descriptive analysis only work on numerical values and also values that are date time. So when a value or when a column is strange, it should be skipped in our descriptive analysis. So for now, the descriptive analysis will only work for the float data type, the int data type, and also the date time. So to do that, descriptive analysis So let's do for resort hotel. So we use the described method on it, describe, and if we run this, we can see the numerical data, and we can see the statistical analysis being performed on them. So let's transpose this so that we can have a better view. So if we do .t to do the transpose, then we have this. Now we have the columns as the row now, and the statistical analysis that has been done on it as the column. So let's ignore the booking ID. Booking ID is just the ID of the booking, just to give an identification of the record. So is cancelled now, we look at is cancelled, we can see that we have maximum and minimum. The minimum is 0 and the maximum is 1. So this is trying to tell us that if you look at it very well, it's just like two values that are there. And also we have lead time, we have the minimum and the maximum, and also the booking date, we have the minimum and the maximum, the arrival date, and also the number of adults, the number of children, and stuff like that. So for adults, the maximum we have is 55, and for babies the maximum we have is 2, and for children the maximum we have is 10. And also we have the standard deviation at this side here. So this analysis, or this descriptive analysis, is very important in the sense that if sometimes we want to check if we have outliers in our data. Outliers are extremely large or extremely small values in our data, which can skew the outcome of our analysis. So for example, if you look at the number of adults we have now, so under the adults we have our minimum to be 0 and our maximum to be 55, and also we have the 50th percentile to be 2 and the 75th percentile to be 2. So this is having an extreme number of adults at the end, which is the maximum here, 55. So we can say that the 55 is an outlier, because if we take a look at the median, the middle value is 2, but the maximum value is 55. The 75th percentile is 2 and the maximum value is 55. So there's a lot of gap between those two values, which definitely shows that there's an outlier in our value, in our data. So if we would like to do some predictive analysis on this kind of data now, so definitely we need to take care of these outliers, because we will be getting wrong prediction if we work with this data. But since we are just trying to do exploratory data analysis, so we are not going to do any outlier treatment on this, because if it is predictive analysis, before we move on, we have to do some outlier treatment to make sure that we kind of, level the data and remove the outliers in the data, so that our machine learning model will learn the data correctly and will not predict, absurd numbers for us. So if we do the same thing for the city hotel, so city hotel dot describe dot t. So we can also do the same analysis for this, and then we can see that we have almost the same result. And if we explain this, it will also follow the same explanation we have done above. So we don't need to just waste time on re-explaining all this again. The only thing that is different is that this is for city and the one above is for resort hotel. So that's just the difference between the two of them. Definitely they'll follow the same explanation, the outlier treatment and stuff like that. And if you look at arrival day, date, day of month, you can see this is 31, so this is 1. So this is just trying to tell us the number of days in the month. So, and all other values you can check with the data. So let's move on to exploratory data analysis now. So this is where we'll now be tackling all the questions in our project brief. And the first question in our project brief is trying to see what is the monthly booking and cancellation we get. So we'll have to do this for the resort hotel. We also have to do this for the city hotel. So exploratory data analysis. Data analysis. So the first one we would like to work on is to get the monthly bookings and cancellations. So monthly bookings and cancellations. So to do this now, let's first check our column. So what we would like to achieve, if we try to draw the graph, the analysis, the graph we would like to achieve. So we'd like to achieve something like this. So we'd like to have the month of January here, February, March, April, May, and so on and so forth. And after that, we would like to have our number of bookings here. So let's say we have 100, 200, 300, up to like, let's say 1000 here. So what we would like to now do is that we want to see which booking is cancelled and which booking is not. So we want our graph to be something like this. So something like, maybe if this is cancelled is 0 and cancelled is 1. So same thing for February. So same thing for March. So we want to achieve something like this, and to achieve something like this, that means we have to get our data in this kind of format where we'll have the month. We will have the month. Let's say January, February, March, April, May, and on. And then we will now have our cancellation. And the cancellation will now be 0 and 1. Then we can now have the count of this value. So if it is the month of January, how many cancellation and how many bookings are not cancelled. So if the bookings are not cancelled, you can say we have maybe 3000 bookings that are not cancelled, and the ones that are cancelled, we can say we have 250s that are cancelled. So for February, can have 4000 that are not cancelled and maybe 3500 cancelled. March, let's say we have 6000 and 3000 not cancelled. So and so on and so forth. So that is the kind of format we are trying to get our data in, so that it will be able to do this kind of visualization, and then we can then derive insight from it. So let's start now. So the first thing we need to do is start. We need to get the date month from our data. So that's from each date. So let's create arrival month or booking month. So from our data, if we check our data, we'll see that we have something like booking date, so which is just a full date, which is having the year, month, and the day. So what we'd like to extract is the month part of that date. So let's do for resort first. To do that, we'll do resort, hotel, and we are creating a new column, booking month, and that's by extracting the month part of the booking date. So resort, hotel. So once we extract the month part of the booking date, so booking date, so we use the date module that we have imported initially, so and then we use the month attribute on it. So .dt .month, and let's run this. So let's check our result and see if we have the month date created. So that should be added to the end of the data. So let's check the new column, resort underscore hotel dot add. So we will scroll to the last, so we can see booking month now. So, and that's giving us the month when the booking was made. And if we check, we can see that the booking date is on the 7th, on the 7th month. And if we check the booking month, so we have the 7th, and the one on the 6th, we have the 6th month. And that is what we want to achieve. And from there, Now we can do the grouping of our data to the format we want. So let's do the summary. So we can save this as monthly summary. Equals, let's say, resort hotel dot group by. We use the group by method, and then we want to group the booking month and the cancellation, which is the is cancelled. So we'll supply that in list. Booking month also is cancelled dot size. So the size is to get us the counting of each of the category. So if it is 1, then we get the counting of 1 for the month of January, and also we get the counting of 1 for the month of January, the counting of 0 for the month of January. So that is why we are using dot size. So then we have to reset the index and then name the counting. So we do dot reset index, and then we'll call it count. So let's try and run this and see what we have as the value. So we say monthly summary. So we can see now that for the month of January, we have the count of 0 and the count of 1 separately. Same thing for the month of February and March and so on. So this is what we will then visualize, and before we can visualize it, we still need to make it a pivot like the one I showed you earlier. So to do that, we just say pivot, let's say pivot underscore df equals monthly summary dot pivot. We use the pivot method, then we'll supply the index. The index now will be the booking month. Will now turn to the index booking month, and then the columns will be the cancellation, which is cancelled, columns equals is cancelled, and then the value we want will be the count value. So for most of you that will be familiar with the pivot table in Excel, so this is like we are trying to replicate the pivot table in Excel, and once the result is generated, you understand what we are trying to do. And then values equals to the counts. So after that, we'll fill, if we have any missing values or any missing part, we'll fill it with 0. So definitely we will not have, but just in case. So let's run this. So we've run into an error. So this should be count instead of count. So let's do pivot df. So now we have the result just like I visualized for you earlier. So we have the booking month, and then the is cancelled. If it is 0, then we count it separately. If it is 1, we count it separately. So the next thing we need to do then is visualize this data. So to visualize the data, let's say we are going to visualize the pivot df that we created. So that is visualizing the data. So it will be pivot df dot plot, and then the kind of plot we want is bar, and then we'll specify the figure size, the plot area, the fixed size, and that is 10,6. And after that, so most of the time you might be wondering, how do I get to know all this? So you don't need to memorize this. If you are trying to use a method and you don't know what are the arguments you need to pass in, so when you are inside the bracket of the method, when you open the method like this plot, you just do Shift Tab, and then you get to see information about the method, so, and the parameters. So this is asking the kind of plot. Initially when I said kind, so kind we take in string, and these are the ones you can pass in. You see, we have the line, we have the bar, we have the bar horizontal, that's a horizontal bar plot, we have the histogram box plot, KDE kernel density estimation plot, and also the area plot, and if you want to do the pie plot, scatter, and so on. So you can see you don't have to memorize any of these. And also, if you go down, you might get an example sometimes of how to use it. You see, for example, we see for series, for data frame, and all sort of other information you can use. For data frame grouped, you see, for data frame grouped. So, and most of the time again, you can copy all these into ChatGPT and it will give an explanation on how to use them better. So after this, let's customize our label. So let's customize the label, customize labels, and we'll do plt.xlabel, so month, plt.ylabel, so that will be the number of bookings, plt.title, that will be monthly booking, clip booking, and cancellation status for resort hotel. And then if we run this, let's run this and see what we have. So the reason why we are having this at the top is that if we had our plt.show to it, it should disappear. Plt.show, then that disappeared. So then we have our monthly booking and cancellation status for resort hotel. So the next thing is that if you look at this, it's kind of a bit difficult to read because the numbers are kind of slant, like they are not in the right direction. And also looking at this, you kind of strain your eyes and trying to make a sense of, is this 4,500 or is this 4,300, or how do you call this, is this 1,550 or something like that. So it is important to add a data label, and most of the time the way you do this is that you don't need to memorize any of this. If for example you don't understand, you can use ChatGPT. So let's say ChatGPT, so the next thing is that you can copy the code you have. So let me copy this code. Let's say, let me copy all this and say, okay, add data label to the visualization in Python above visualization in Python. And if you send it, so definitely you can see that it has improved my code, and definitely I can just copy this part because I have this part already. Let me just copy this part and go back to my code and let me impute it. So, and let's run this and see what we have. So you can see now that this is much more better than what we had initially, and now we can see data label and we can see that the ones that did not cancel their bookings, we have 4,268 compared to 1,627 in January that canceled their booking, and we can all see this also. So the next thing we'll do, this is for the resort hotel. So the next thing is that we need to do it for the city hotel, and right now it's like we just have to copy this code. But what I'm trying to avoid now is that if I'm copying this code for city hotel and there's a change I'd like to make at the top, then that means I will have to make the changes 2 times. So now it is better to do functional programming. So I will just start writing function, and when I write function, I can use the function for the to hotel. So let me just start from here and all this code that we have written. So let's do a function. Let's define a function. So for the city hotel, so let's say monthly bookings, we'll define the function monthly bookings. And right now the first thing I would like to take in is the hotel data and also hotel name, so that I'll be able to change the name automatically, hotel name. So let me copy everything I have done initially from this transformation. So sorry, from this creating booking month. So let me just copy this, create booking month. So if I go down here and paste this, so what I would just do is change this to hotel data. So let me copy this, hotel data, and after that the next thing is to copy the summary. So the summary, so and let's do this. So I'll just change this to hotel data, and I think that's the only thing I'm changing here, hotel data. Also after that, again, the pivot. So let me copy this. So I'll say make a pivot table. So after that, again, what's wrong here? I think everything is fine here. So the next thing is visualization. So let me just copy all this and say visualization. Visualize the data. So So now we have created a function, and the first thing the function will do is take the hotel data. So we'll pass in the hotel data. So if we pass the resort data, so it will take the resort data, create booking month for it. If it is the city data, then it will take the city data, create the booking month for it, and after that it will work on the hotel data and get the monthly summary, and after getting the monthly summary, then it will visualize the data. So for here now, we'd like to change the name. So if we change the name to hotel name, so hotel name, and let's change this to f string. So just put f at the end here, and okay, so I think we are all done. Let's run this. Hopefully there won't be error, so that's fine, running fine. So the next thing is that we would use our function to get the city hotel visualization, hotel vis. So the function is monthly bookings, and it takes in two arguments. The first argument would be passing a city hotel, and the next is the hotel name, so which is city hotel. So let's run this and see what we have. So good. So we have this now, which is monthly booking and cancellation status for city hotel, and we can see that we have the visualization also. We have 6,437 in January. The bookings are not cancelled, and we have 4,258 bookings that are cancelled. So if you sum this all together, you can say you have over 10,000 bookings in January for city hotel. So right now that we have done the visualization, the next thing is to get some insight from it. Let's do some conclusion, and from here, if you say conclusion, the first thing we would like to see is that if we take a look at the two hotels, you can see that for January we have 6,000, for February 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, 3,000 for May, and by June we have 2,000. Then it goes up again, 3,005, 3,007, and going up again. So if you go back to the resort hotel, you also see something like similar with it. We have 4,000, 3,000, 2,600, 1,009, 1,008, and 1,007, and from there 1,009. So we can say, one of the conclusions we can say is that for the two hotels, bookings are always high at the beginning of the year, but decrease towards the middle of the month, and continue the upward trend again. Continue the upward trend again. So what other things can we get from this visualization? What other insights can we get from these visualizations? So when we mean bookings, initially we mean both the ones that are cancelled and the ones that are not cancelled, because it's almost the same thing for cancelled and not cancelled. So that's what we mean by bookings. So what other thing can we look at? Okay. So if we look at the city hotel, we can say for the city hotel, the cancellations are high at the end of the year. But for the resort hotel, the cancellations are low at the end of the year compared to the ones that are not cancelled. So we can say for resort hotel, cancellations are lower at the end of the year, but they are higher for city hotel at the end of the year. So what other things can we look at? So from these two insights, we can also just provide some insight or some useful information or some useful conclusion from this, and say maybe the hotel can look into facility improvements and also new marketing tactics, like maybe first look into the management can look into facilities improvement, so the reason why I'm saying this is that at the end of the year, maybe people looked at the facilities and they kind of cancel because it's at the end of the year, and maybe the hotels have not carried out any repair since the beginning of the year, and some facilities are not in good shape, so definitely it won't attract customers. So they can look into facility improvements, and they can also look into the end of the year promotion, end of the year promotion. So you can also add yours to this conclusion. So these are the ones I can think of now in order not to take our time. So let's move on. The next on the project brief is to see if we have repeated guests. So we can say repeated guest analysis. So repeated guests analysis. So like I told you, now we'll be writing functional program because I won't like to repeat the same code for the hotels. So one single code will take care of the two hotels. So let's say let's write a function repeated guest, then we'll take in two arguments, the hotel data and the hotel name, and then what are the code would like to write. So now we don't need to add any column, so we just get the summary. So let's get the summary of the data, so which will be, let's save it into repeated guest summary, repeated guest summary, and let's say the hotel data. So this time around we have a column called is repeated guest. So if we check the list of our column at the top, so if we check, we'll see is repeated guest. So this is what we need to count, and it's like yes or no. It's taking in value of 1 and 0, and we have to count the 1 and 0. So we have to count the 1 and 0. So we access the repeated guest and then do the value count dot value underscore counts. After that, the next thing we would like to do is define the labels. So in this analysis, since we have two values we are counting, and it is better, or it is okay to use pie charts to do this counting. So once we have the summary, the next thing we can do is to do the visualization. So once we want to visualize pie charts, we need to get the labels. So let's define the labels. Define the labels, and then we'll say labels. We got a list. So we can say not repeated guest, and the second one will be repeated guest. And after that, the next thing we would like to do is also to count the values, so that once we count the values, we can sort them, and then we can then use the percentage on them. So we'll say get size and order, and put them in order. Get the size, or let me say get the counts, and put them in order. So this will now be size repeated guest summary dot sort index dot value. So the next thing, we'll plot our pie chart. So let's say plotting plt dot figure. That's the first thing, that's getting the plot size or plot area. Fig size equals, so let's say, let's do a square, so 8 by 8. And after that, we then plot the pi, plt.pi. The pi, we take in the size, which is going to count and turn to percentage. So we already defined that sizes. And then after that, it needs the label to put on the pi. So we already defined the labels. So we just say labels equals to labels. And then the percentage, the way to format the percentage, so we do also pct, which is equals to percentage, this is in a string, so percentage 1.1 percentage. And then sometimes it is good to specify the starting angle, so we'll do start angle, and let me do something like 140 degree. And after that, plt dot axis, let me do title first before doing axis. Title, and we'll say f string now, distribution of repeated guests at the hotel name. So then we'll do axis. The reason why we are doing axis is to have equal aspect ratio when the circle is being drawn. So plt dot axis, so we say equal, and after that we show our visualization, plt dot show. So we can also return the summary. So let's say return repeated guest summary, and let's run this. So we have defined our function that we can then use to plot each of the visualization for the hotels. So let's say for resort hotel, then we'll call the function which is repeated guest, and the first argument is the hotel data, which is now resort hotel, and then followed by the name. So we'll say resort hotel. So if we run this, we should get the visualization directly. So, and after that, it should be followed by our summary. So for this now, this is the distribution of repeated guests at resort hotel. So repeated guests is 4.4%, and the ones that are not repeated are 95.6%. So let's try for the city hotel. So let's call the function again. So repeated guest, and just want to be sure, okay, city hotel, and also the name will be city hotel. So that is for distribution of repeated guests for at city hotel. So this one at the top is at resort hotel. So for the city hotel, we have 97% which are not repeated guests, and we have just 2.67% which are repeated guests. So let's draw our conclusion from on this. So we can draw our conclusion from this conclusion, and we can say for the two hotels, we can see that for the two hotels, over 95% are new customers. That is, they are not repeated guests. So for the two hotels, over 95% are new customers. So we can say, which means most of the guests don't come back. So what can they do? So they can try to look into customer retention techniques. So look into customer retention techniques. Like club card, and also they can do something like referral bonus. Also, another thing is also the company or the hotel group can investigate customer service experience. Also, you investigate customer service experience. So they can do this by carrying out a survey of customers' experience. So those are the threes I can come up with. You can also come up with your own, and then you can add it in the comment section. So the third analysis we want to do here is traveler type. So let's say the third one is traveler type analysis. So we'll still do the functional programming, but before we do the functional programming, there's something I would like to explain to us. So in the data, we have a particular column for adults, the one for children, and the one for babies. So we believe that if the submission of adults, children, and babies gives us a value greater than 1, then that kind of booking will say it is a family booking. But if it is less than 1, then it is a single or a singular booking. So let's start by trying to create a new column that would try and check this condition, and then the column will either be true if the condition is true or false if the condition is false. So let's define our function def traveler type, and it will take into argument hotel data and hotel name. So family booking, we are creating a column family booking. So it will be hotel data. So we'll call this column is family booking, which you check if it's family booking. And the way to check is adding the hotel data, adding the adults, and the children, and also adding them with the babies. So we'll check if all these additions are greater than 1. So if all these additions are greater than 1, that means we have a family booking. So after that, we try to get the summary of the family booking. Summary, and we'll do traveler type summary. So it will be hotel data, the column is family booking, dot value underscore counts. So the next thing is that we are trying to do pie chart again. So it will just be good to copy the ones we have at the top so as to save us time. So let's just copy this and copy. Let's say plots. So the labels now will change to single because we are trying to see if it is single or family. Single or family. So, and then it will sort index value. So we are going to sort the traveler type. So sort traveler type summary, and after that we are going to say distribution of traveler type at hotel name. So then this should be okay. So let's go through our code once again. Hotel data. So just trying to make sure we don't have an error. So let's run this, and that's fine. So the resort hotel. So we'll call our function traveler type, and then we'll pass in our argument resort hotel, then the name resort hotel. So let's run this. So we have a mistake here. So the reason we have a mistake is the summary should have been traveler type summary. So let's run this again, and we run this again. So it should be all good now. So we can see now that it's family booking true. So we have more of family bookings than the single booking. So we have 82.5% of our bookings that are family, and the single at 17.5%. So let's do city hotel also. City hotel. So we'll call our function traveler type, and then we do city hotel and city hotel. So we have almost the same distribution of traveler type at city hotel, distribution of traveler type at resort hotel, and we have almost the same distribution. So for city hotel, the family is actually lower, so which is kind of understanding, because if we look at the resort hotel, we can say it's a destination, it's like holiday destination, and this is the one in the city. And after that, let's get our conclusion for this. And the conclusion we can get for this is that the first conclusion is that we have family visiting the two hotels compared to single people. We have more families visiting the two hotels compared to single people. So conclusion, so we have families visiting the two hotels more compared to single people. And again, the company need to check their targeted customers. So we can ask the company, are families the targeted customers? The targeted customers. So asking these questions will let them understand the kind of marketing or the kind of things they need to put in place to attract single people. Do you understand now? So that's why we need to ask them who their targeted customers are. So the next analysis on the line, and the last one is breakdown of guests origins by country. So we want to know the countries where our customers are from. So let's say number 4, breakdown of guest origins by country. So right now I want us to understand something, that in our resort hotel we have some data for the country, but when it comes to city hotel we do not have anything. So if you check, this is for city hotel, If we check the city hotel, we'll see that the country information is 0. And for the resort hotel, we still have some values for country. So what I explained earlier, for city hotel, we just say it is for people in the city, in that area where in the city where the hotel is situated, and it is understandable if we are not recording the country where they are coming from, because we believe they are actually the people from the country. But for the resort, like, it's some kind of holiday destination, and if it is an holiday destination, definitely we want to record the country where the customers are coming from. But the problem now is that it's a very small number, but we still have to do the analysis on it so that we can see the figures we have, the little numbers we have. We can still see what kind of analysis or breakdown do we have on the country, and then we can come to conclusion on it. So we don't need to perform or write any function for this now, because we only have the number for the resort hotel. So we just write the code directly, and for that, so we get the summary of the country. So let's save it into countries summary as resort hotel, and get the country and the value count dot value underscore count. So there should be dots, and then after that, let's get our summary, country summary, countries summary. So we can see that in our country summary, we have Portugal at the top, followed by the United Kingdom, the UK, and the Northern Ireland, and also Spain, Ireland, and stuff like that. So we can actually visualize this. So plotting, let's visualize this. Plotting. So our plot area, plt.figure and fig size equals, so let's do 10,8, 10 inches by 8. So we want to plot the country summary, so we'll do countries summary dot plot, and then we'll say the kind of plot we want for this is horizontal bar plot. So horizontal bar plot, and after that we'll customize the labels, and say plt dot title. So we can say top countries of origin for the resort hotel guests, and then we'll do the X label, plt dot X label. So say number of guests, and the Y label, plt dot Y label. So we'll say countries, or let's say country, and then for our visualization to fit into the plot area, so let's do plt.tight layout, plt.tight layout, and then let's show the visualization plt.show. So let's run this. Now we have this, but the way we want it in the descending order. We want the Portugal to be at the top. So for us to do this, we'll go back to the summary, and then in this value count, we change it to ascending equals true, and we run it again. So we run the visualization again also, then we'll have it. So Portugal at the top, United Kingdom of Great Britain, Spain, Ireland, and all. So here we can also come to conclusion, and the conclusion for this, so let's do conclusion. For this is that if we look at it, it's pretty straightforward. Most of our guests are from Portugal, so we say most of our guests come from Portugal, and after that, if we look at the top 5 countries, actually they are European countries, or let's say top 4 countries. We say Portugal, United Kingdom, Spain, and Ireland. They are, so looking at the top 4 countries, we can see most of our customer come from Europe. And what they can do now, what the company can do, they can say look into, and they are not the, from the previous analysis we have done, we see that we don't get repeating guests. So it's like they don't come back after they visit our hotel. So what we can do is maybe look into tourism package. So we can say marketing department can look into tourism packages to foster customers' loyalty. So another thing they can also look into is maybe the kitchen or the chef department, or the chef department can look into making international meal deals. So they can look into making international meal deals. You know, people that are coming from Europe might not like American food. So if the chef department or the kitchen department can look into adding international meal deals into the hotel package, then definitely it can foster customers' loyalty or make the customer come back again, because they will know that they don't have to look for where to get international or where to get their national food when they come to our hotel. So we have come to the end of this analysis, and we have generated different conclusions. So this is how to perform real world data analysis, and then the stakeholders can make informed decisions from our analysis. So if you like this video, don't forget to actually press the like button, subscribe to the channel, and put your question in the comment section. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn, and then we can share more insights on data analysis on Python. So this is the end of Python for data analysis. Happy coding.